Welcome, Dr. Khemka.
Thank you, Madhu.
I'd like to start with your beginnings. You went to IIT. You also did computer science, PhD in computer science. You've got a sort of a very varied educational background. What was your motivation from going from IIT to computer science? Did you have any end goal in mind?
Madhu, the views expressed in this program of yours will be completely personal.
Even your education qualifications?
Not personal affairs, but any official view would be personal. Any matter concerned with the official functioning would be personal. Madhu, I belong to a lower middle class family, and I think
what did your father do?
My father was a clerk in a private jute mill, and my interests in the beginning were in the areas of economics, finance and law. But I was very good academically, and I could get a very good rank in the All India entrance for joint entrance examination.
But you burst into tears once when you got 99% and some other boy beat you with 100% in math, and you burst into tears. In class 10?
That's there on the internet. That's not true.
Okay, you didn't burst into tears. You beat up the boy.
I did get a board rank. I think I had some very brilliant colleagues or cohorts in my school, and I was not the topper in the board, but there were 5 board rankers.
So this is that boy who got 100% who's planted that story?
Not necessarily. I think some other colleague, because we were 5 of us, and all 5 were, kind of icons in our amongst our school friends. So, but I just managed a very good rank in the IIT, and as any middle class parent would do, they would push their ward into the IIT, and I got the best discipline at that time. Still it is the best discipline, that was computer science and engineering. I did quite well there. After that I joined Tata Institute of Fundamental Research for a PhD. I didn't complete my PhD. I entered the service, and while I was in service, I completed the PhD. So I would say I have a unique distinction that I am only the lone ex-resident scholar of TFR who was given the PhD. And the reason was not that because I am in the IIS, because when I joined the IIS, there was a lot of, I guess, people, my professors, who were not very comfortable, because they thought probably that a good talent is going out from the scientific research world into the administrative services. But the reason was that there were 2 papers published in international journals, and they were quite reputed. And this was something which was not expected of a research scholar while doing research, that is, papers are published in international journal. So my guide, Professor R.K. Shyamsundar, he was quite a noble man at heart and very generous. So he offered me that in case I want to publish or write a thesis on the basis of the published articles, they are good enough to earn a PhD, which I did in the year 1995.
Why did you want to join the services?
Although it's too personal a question, but I'll tell you one thing. In India, the problem with India is that we box ourselves using our surnames. I think the greatest reform what Jayaprakash Narayan did, he started a movement that do away with the surnames. You take a surname and then you try to box the personality into a particular category. Oh, he must be of this type. Unfortunately, in the research world, it's also a closed kind of an atmosphere prevails that.
So you found you were discriminated against because of your caste?
No, I won't say that I was discriminated against. See, the domain of mathematics is the domain of the, I would say, a particular class of Indians coming from the south. I won't name
Brahmin Ayers. We have one there.
Well, you said it. And the physicists were dominated by a particular community from the east. So if you do not belong to either of them, and agar 19-21 ka khel hai, then it is very difficult to get a secure job in terms of a faculty position or otherwise. So one of my cousin brothers, he was there in the civil services, and he told me that, look, with your intellect, you can easily make into the IAS. He was not in the IAS. So I tried it, and I got it by God's grace.
In your first try?
Yes. So I entered the service. So that's how.
Now, you don't like being called a whistleblower because you say you're just doing your job.
Yes.
But in India, there are two things. One, anyone who does their job makes news. And secondly, whistleblowers haven't had a very good future in India. They are harassed, they get death threats, as I believe you have got. Many have been killed. Now, when you started passing these kind of orders, were you afraid?
Madhu, I don't want to be called a whistleblower. See, I am not a whistleblower. I don't know how that terminology came up, but it looks as if I am outside my community, as if I am not doing a duty. I am doing something which is not expected of me. I would rather say, if I had not done the duty which you call a whistleblowing activity, it would have been a kind of a misconduct of omission and a dereliction of duty. So I am doing my duty. Now, while doing your duty, there are two things, which come to your mind. That am I doing a duty because some favor would come upon me, or I am omitting to do a duty because some favor could come to me. And the second type, it is a fear of a transfer or a fear of a punishment. There could be various kinds of punishments. It's not necessarily a death threat. A death threat is not so overt. It comes in a covert language.
What did you get? What kind of a threat did you get?
Covert language is just like this, okay. Oh, a goon can be hired for 30,000 rupees only, and it just takes one pull on your temple and you are out. Why do you do such things? Anything can happen to you. Do you have some responsibility towards your children and your wife? So these kind of things. Oh, you don't travel in the night, it's risky, because if you travel in your night, some crook can just cause a fatal accident. Oh, you are without your security, or there would be some false bells at your doors. So, or there would be some cranky calls.
Now, you'll have to update me on this. Is it true that you have been transferred 44 times in 22 years?
Well, I would say I was transferred around, to be exact, precise, 41 times in 20 years. See, the first 2 years is a training assignment. So these are really not transfers in that sense. So exclude the 2 years or first 2 years of your service. So the balance,
41 times.
41 times is the exact.
In 21 years.
Yes, but it is much more than 44, because there were times when you got a transfer order, then you were told to wait, because there would be another transfer order.
Okay. But in some places you were actually only there for 4 or 5 days. You mean you created enough hangama in 4 or 5 days for them to decide this guy has to move on?
No, hangamas were not created then. There were pulls from others to get posted at that point. So because I had no sifarish, nobody to back me up, so I was in easy stopgap arrangement. I could be placed anywhere, or I can be shifted out at any time.
But you became known for two things. One, for exposing corruption in many different, even during Chautala's, when he was in power in Gurgaon, and you exposed that. And at that time, the Congress was supporting you for doing the same thing of what you did with Vadra.
I had seen 4 chief ministers, and all the 4 chief ministers I had fallen foul with. But I must tell you very honestly, I don't know about the first chief minister, because I was very young in service. But the other 3 chief ministers.
Who was the first one that you were working
Mr.
on?
Bhajanlal.
Okay.
He was there from 91 to 95. So at that time I was relatively junior in service, so I didn't have a chance to interact with him in person. But the remaining 3 chief ministers, I can vouch for it on your channel, on this program, that all 3 have very high personal regards in person for me. There is no question where they say that I was an officer who
Even Mr. Huda?
Yes, even Mr. Huda. If you question him in private about the kind of officer, but he would only have one thing to say: which all three chief ministers would definitely say, that at times I get very stubborn. So the formula here is what they have told is an 80-20 kind of a formula, which I have never been able to adjust to. 80-20 is that you must be adjusting so that you achieve 80% what you intend to, and 20% you are not able to achieve what you intended to. Now I have a different take on that. You see, administrative services do not do any creative job whatsoever. Let's take it out. I think the IS is one service which lives in a fool's paradise, or likes to live in a fool's paradise, that they contribute to society. There's nothing like that. Any IS is always backed by some technical service or some technical person. IS is a shield between the technical service and the minister. And the IS survives only for one reason, that is its integrity, ethics, morality. They would say what is right, what is ethically right, and what is morally correct, and what is not morally correct.
But in the 41 positions that you held, how much of a percentage would you say you found corruption in those 41? Because you were in so many, even in farm seeds, or you were in almost every area.
Madhu, if I would say, I would tend to believe with what Mr. Rajiv Gandhi said, that after 22 years of experience, that for every 1 rupee spent by the government, only 15 paisa go to the end beneficiary. It could not be exactly 15 paisa, it could be 25 in some cases, and it could be as low as 0 in some other cases.
But you are also known, besides finding the corruption in the various places that you worked in, you're also known for exposing corruption within the department and resorting to RTI to get information on colleagues. Is that true?
Not on colleagues, but to expose certain very disturbing things in other departments. So when RTI had taken roots in 2005, I was the very first very active user of RTI, just to call out the right information and to expose them. And in some of these cases, the government acting on my RTI information, that is the state government, had acted and reversed those very orders.
This was against your colleagues?
Yes, in some cases it was against my colleagues, but not necessarily against the colleagues, and plus it was a big eye-opener.
So which means that when it's announced that Dr. Khemka is appointed to a particular department, everyone else is looking for transfers because you could be exposing them, besides the seniors working on you getting transferred somewhere else.
It's a one-sided view of things. If you see, I have held 3 corporations, the Housing Board, the Warehousing Corporation, and the Seeds Corporation, and the social justice and empowerment. Now in the social justice and empowerment, what Government of India, with all its paraphernalia and with all the banking support and the Ministry of Finance and everybody putting their head, single-handedly, Madhu, in a span of 6 months, I created 20 lakh bank accounts of pensioners, integrated them with the database, and pushed 550 crores over a span of 5 months. A total of 10 million transactions were conducted.
Now tell me, let's get to the meat of it. You were you were working in what position when you discovered this Robert Vadra's file? You were in charge of land consolidation?
I was Director General Land Records. Now, this job is supposed to see the maintenance of land records regarding the rural lands. Director General of Consolidation of Holdings, that is to consolidate the fragmented land holdings so there is better agriculture productivity, and Inspector General Registration, that is in charge of all the registering offices of the state of Haryana.
So did you come across this file as a routine file, or did you hear about Robert Vadra having made this deal and you fished it out?
No, not like that. You see,
how did it happen?
Yes, 7th and 8th October, there were stories. 2012. There were stories in the Business Standard, in the Hindu and the Indian Express, 3 newspapers. Those cuttings are there on the relevant file.
How did they get those stories?
No, that I do not know how they got those stories. But these 3 newspapers had those stories. On 8th October, after it appeared, I think I ignored the first story which appeared on the 6th or the 7th. It reappeared on 8th in the Hindu and the Indian Express. Now, I was heading that department and I'd recorded in the file that, look, the fair name of this department must be cleared. Either these stories are false and we would publish a rebuttal, and that would restore the public faith in institutions, or if these stories are true, then we better well take action. And I was head of the department.
That was the first time you heard of this deal. You
Yes.
had not found the file before that.
No, the allegation was that Robert Vadra's companies are undervaluing his transactions.
But the first time you heard about Robert Vadra's this deal was from the press, from Hindu and Indian Express, or you had already found the file?
No. This particular Shikopur transaction was not discovered in any media. What was discovered was that his transactions were being undervalued. So, and they had reported this prominently, and that concerned my functioning. So, after seeing this, I requested the concerned deputy commissioners who were registrars to get all the transaction deeds registered by the companies of Mr. Robert Vadra. Now, we have all these functioning of registering offices and the deeds computerized.
So you did get the lead from the newspapers?
The lead was from the newspapers. I am mentioning them: Business Standard, Hindu and Indian Express. After that, the deputy commissioners were told, and they were told by an order, that get those deeds, you have the software, please get those deeds, send it to the office, let me examine them, and you conduct your inquiry. Inquiry does not mean just compare them with the collector rates, which are only a benchmark. You have to do an inquiry, means go to the spot, understand the transaction, see the land on the spot, and then arrive at a conclusion whether the deal is correctly valued or not. And if these are not correctly valued, then send them to the collector. The collector is incidentally the subdivisional officer.
So that's what you did?
That's what I did. That please send them to the...
So when all the documents came back...
No, the documents did not come to me. In fact, after that, a particular deputy commissioner did a wishy-washy act. I said, the order was by 1st November that all the registered deeds would be uploaded on the web. So any person, you see, deeds which are registered are public documents. You can go to the registering offices and check all the registries. And this is a norm which is across the world. That is why deeds get registered, to make them public documents, the transactions public documents.
So let's go back to, so you sent your officers out. They came back with a report.
I had no officers. I sent instructions out to the deputy commissioners of 4 districts and told them to send me the deeds.
So they gave you a wishy-washy report?
Well, the 3 deputy commissioners said it will be done.
What will be done?
This will be sent to you and we will do an inquiry. The 4th one was wishy-washy, and it was Gurgaon. And I think he told me the name of the authority in the government. He has said it is not to be done. And I think I had a lot of argument with him that he is a public servant and he should not be obeying to private persons, private authorities whose orders may not be completely legal.
So what did he say? Mere bhi biwi bache hain?
No. He kept quiet. You see, people behave very sagely in service. They don't have to say anything. They know where the bread is buttered. So on 11th night at 10 o'clock, I was transferred.
At what
at
time?
10 o'clock in the night.
How do you get a transfer at 10 o'clock at night? Somebody
Well,
came
they came to my residence to deliver the transfer order. 11th was a Thursday at 10
This
o'clock
was
in the night.
when you had just asked for...
Well, this happened on the 10th with this officer that, look, you're not acting because
and by the 16th, you were...
my computer chaps were telling that this particular district is not uploading his data. Because once the data is uploaded on the computer, then I can simply do a search and extract all the records myself. I need not go physically to the registering offices to do it. So there was a complaint from my men who were handling the computer work, the NIC chaps, that this particular district's data is not getting uploaded. Then I talked to this gentleman, and this gentleman said that
He's been told not to do it.
No, he said ki it is not to be. He has orders not to upload it. So I, as a senior, give him a rebuke. He was my direct subordinate also. On the 11th night at 10 o'clock, I got this transfer order. But there was an officer of mine, a subordinate officer. I had asked a different class of officers to get the registered deeds for my examination.
Of this particular with Skylight
No.
Hospitality.
I said that there was a parallel order given to my field officers that you independently get this document. So one particular officer produced this sale deed. Now it's a public document. He brought to my office on the 11th this particular sale deed. Now if you read the sale deed, it is 18 September 2012. You don't have to read anything again. What does the sale deed say? The sale deed says that the impugned land has been sold and the sales consideration were received in 4 installments, of which the first installment was received on June 3rd, 2008. And he says that I am selling the license which was granted to me on 15th December 2008.
Robert Vadra selling the license.
Selling the land along with the license.
The commercial license.
Yes, along with the license. It doesn't indicate it's a commercial license in the deed to DLF, Universal. That is the Wendy purchaser. And
No, but let's go back to the check that Robert Vadra issued to this Ankeshwar who owned the property. That check you said was a false check.
Yes. Yes.
How?
In my comments.
Yes.
Not in the original order of 15th October. In my comments. You see what happened? On 15th October, I cancelled the mutation on the ground that the officer sanctioning it was not competent to do so. He didn't have that authority under the relevant act. He was not notified to act so. But I had made an obiter dicta in that order that either Skylight Hospitality, that is the company owned by Mr. Robert Vadra, was favored by the Director Town and Country Planning in issuing the license, or the company has lied to the authority, public
About
authority.
the check?
No.
About
the fact that the land was sold, an agreement to sell was executed, part sale consideration was received, and possession handed over to DLF before the license was granted. See, license is granted on certain conditions to build a colony.
Let's go back to the first check, which you have pointed out. This
607251.
Yes.
Yes.
The first check, that you said is a fraudulent check because one, there was no money in that bank account.
Yes.
Of Skylight Hospitality.
Yes.
But the check was actually from Skylight Realty. Did Skylight Realty have that amount?